Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. We get things going here pretty quick this morning. Come on, here we go. There that is. And good morning, Chainbreakers. Good morning. Good morning. It is Wednesday, December the 4th, 2019. This is going to be a fantastic day. Hi, I'm Brad Smith. I am your host for Chainbreakers 365 Live and the creator of hashtag Uplift and Rise. I want to welcome you in here today. We got a lot of people already jumping in quickly. Laura, glad to see you in here bright and early. You're the first one here. Nathaniel, glad to see you. Michael, glad you're here as well. Glad you guys are in here. This is going to be a super show. We're going to keep challenging and some of the limitations that we put on ourselves in our thought processes. So a couple days ago, I challenged you in the thought process of we limit our belief or our faith in God in the faith that we have in ourselves. You see, God tells us in his word, right? God tells us in his word that I can do all things through him who gives me strength, right? Not a few things, not some things, not in the things that I want to, not in the things that he wants to. I can do all things. I can do all things in his strength, right? So the really kind of came down to with also we kind of limited in that in what is consistent with his plan, consistent with his word. Hey, good morning, Jeremy. Glad you jumped in here. So in that, what I also got into talking about and saying is he is not going to ask us in his plan for us to do anything that is illegal, immoral, or unethical, right? He's not going to ask us to cheat on our spouse. He's not going to ask us to go rob a bank, right? There are limitations to what he's going to ask of us. And yesterday, we took a little bit a larger look at that as well. And we talked about the plans that he actually has for us. Today, though, I want to talk about what it is that we need to do to move into or toward the plan that God has for us. You see, there's a lot of us, and I know I was guilty of this growing up and did this probably a lot as a teenager. And I think that probably most of you can probably admit to this at some point in your life too, that we sat there or we sit here in our prayers to God and we negotiate. God, if you will only do this, then I will read my Bible every day. Then I will make sure that I am at church every single day, that I will do whatever, right? But we ask God to do this for us first, right? But God, what does God want from us? He wants somebody who chases after his heart. He wants somebody who is faithful with him. So are we being faithful with him if we're asking him to give to us first before we give to him? Or are we being faithful to him by giving first? I'm going to go to today to scripture in Luke 6:38, and I'm reading from the NIV. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. So we talked a little bit yesterday about giving good gifts, because we give good gifts to our children well in abundance of what we would ever do for ourselves. As parents, we give and we give and we give, and in many cases we give far more than we ever do to take care of ourselves, right? Because we want to make sure we'll feed our children before we feed ourselves. We will on the airplane, right? We'll put the oxygen mask on our child before we'll put the oxygen mask on ourselves, right? So there's a lot of things that we need to do to take care of our children. And in that, I talked about what God would want to do for you. If we would give those kinds of good gifts to our children, why wouldn't our Father in heaven be as willing to give good or great gifts to us as well? But in that, what he's asking is for us to give to him. Now remember that not only will it be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, right? But there is another statement there. And this is one that is frequently forgotten. I've heard many pastors quote this scripture, and they quote the first sentence and not the second. They will talk to get about a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That will be poured into your lap, not into your hands, not into your cup, but into your lap. Why? Well, if you remember, everybody wore robes in this time period, right? So in that, we could hold a lot in the lap of our robe. But the next line of that scripture says, for with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. So my next question is are you limiting your giving? Are you testing God with your giving? Now, I'm not necessarily, because it's not here, it's not spelled out here, I'm not talking about necessarily limiting what your offering is or asking you to give considerably more to your church, right? Tithing is spelled out in the Bible. It's a tenth, right? But what I am talking about is giving. Now, here's a few examples. Jacob gave 7 years of his life for Rachel, or who he thought was Rachel, ended up being Leah, and then he was going to give another 7 years for Leah. But he would give first before he received. Now, I'm not asking you to go and pour in and give for 7 years, okay? But what I'm saying is, it's in that abundance of your giving, it is in that willingness of your giving that you will be blessed. It is in that willing and that the action toward your willingness to give is where your blessing will come. Pressed down, shaken together, running over, poured into our laps, but running over, so much so that we cannot fathom. Remember, all the way back to Abraham, that between he and Lot, that their herds and their families and their servants became so big that they were asked to break up because they could not be taken care of. They were so abundant that they could not be taken care of, right? That once Jacob finally left Leah and Rachel's father's home and went out on their own, their herds and everything, their herds and their servants were so great that they intimidated the family. They were so abundant. The blessing came in the giving. The blessing came in ways that was more than what they'd even bargained for. You see, Jacob asked for Rachel. He got Leah. He later got Rachel, but in that he got blessing after blessing after blessing in the abundance of his herds, right? In the abundance of his livestock. If you are asking to give, or if you want to receive, you must be willing to give. You see, the Lord has a vision for you, right? And his limitations of his vision are nowhere even close to the humanly paradigm that or box that we put around on what it is that we want. Jacob's vision was for Rachel. His vision was for his family, and yet God blessed him much larger than his vision. You see, it's in the faithfulness and in the giving and then the faithfulness of that giving, that we are blessed again and again and again. So what I'm asking is, where are you giving today? Is it in your family, or is it to others? Are you giving in work first, or are you waiting to be elevated to that greater position before you give to earn? You see, many times we will be rewarded with those promotions when we give first, because it's in that giving that we are recognized as being a leader. It is in that giving that we're being recognized for having talents above others. It is in that giving that we're being recognized as being worthy. So I'm asking you today to take a strong look at where your giving is, where your giving can be. Maybe it is in the giving of your gifts, your offerings, and your tithes to your church. Maybe it is in work. Maybe it's in giving to your friends. Maybe it's in giving to your community. Yesterday was Giving Tuesday, right? Now, maybe you missed it. Maybe you gave. Did you give out of your abundance? Did you give because out of your budget, or did you give out of your faithfulness? Because you will be blessed in your faithfulness. You will be blessed in your giving. Give, and it will be given to you. Shaken, it will be given to you in good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I need to commit this verse to memory. Pressed down, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. My friends, God is prepared to elevate you to be the person that you need to be. He may strengthen you by putting you through what would appear to be setbacks, but are opportunities to learn and to grow. They are opportunities for you to learn from and become the person that is worthy of being able to receive that reward. You see, many times that reward is just outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes we need to be able to strengthen or stretch out our comfort zone in order to be able to find the blessing that's there for us. My friends, stretch out your tent pegs, stretch out your vision. That's where your opportunity and your blessing and your reward lie. I want to thank you so much for being here today. This has been such a rewarding series, this little mini series, Monday through today. We're going to get in and start taking a look at some other things tomorrow. But I want to thank you for being here today. Share this message out. And be sure, Monday through Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time, look for us right here at Chainbreakers 365 Live. Whether you catch us now live or on replay, say good morning to me. I'll say good morning to you. But let's get this shared out so that more and more can see this, partake in this, and be blessed. Thank you so much, my friends, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time for Chainbreakers 365 Live. Thanks so much, and we'll see you then. Bye now.